Welcome back, students of Shet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College. Students, before we begin our today's topic, just that one thought came to my mind which I would like to share with you all. That is, don't stop when you are tired. Stop when you are done. Students, this thought has been a very powerful thought which I think even you should follow in your lives. So, today's topic is also very closely related to it, which we'll be seeing in our today's poem, Invictus, by poet William Ernest Henley, Standard 9th, Lesson 2.1. This poem depicts the poet's attempt to motivate himself when there is no hope at all. When he is in his difficult times, he tries to lift up his courage. This is what we are going to learn in this poem. Before we begin, let us know a little bit about William Ernest Henley. He was born in Gloucester, England, educated at Crypt Grammar School and University of St. Andrews. A son of a struggling bookseller who died during his teenage years. That is, William's father had died in his teenage years. At the age of 12, William was diagnosed with tubercular arthritis that necessitated the amputation of one of his legs. Now, this was the disease what he was suffering at the age of 12, and the amputation of one of his leg was a must. Now, William died at the age of 53. He was in the hospital during his darkest hours when he wrote the Invictus poem. Can you imagine when he was in the hospitalized, he was been writing this poem Invictus. He finally recovered after 20 months. He took 20 months to recover from that suffering. Now, the reason why you have to like Ernest is he is a poet whose themes engage in inner strengths and perseverances. His inner talks he shares with us and his hard work. We have a few numerous collections which include a book of verses in 1888, a London Volunteers in 1893, and many more such famous books have been written by him. Now, Invictus theme is a Latin word for unconquered or invincible or undefeated. That is our main theme, Invictus, which means undefeated. It is a lyric poem in 4 quatrain, that is a 4-lined poem. In every stanza contains 4 lines. It goes to up to 16 lines. It was written in 1875, published in 1892 in a collection of Life and Death Echoes. Originally, he had no title until editor Arthur Quiller Couch included the poem in the Oxford Book of English Verse. It's a poem that shows how passionate and unconquered he was. That is, William was very passionate about his things and he never gave up. So let's know a little bit about the poem before we begin the poem. Invictus by William Ernest Henley is an inspirational poem. The poem depicts the poet's attempt to motivate himself when there is no hope at all. When the poet writes this poem, he has already lost one of his legs. So, in such a situation of mental and physical pain, the poet tries to lift up his courage. Students, when we get here and there a little bit of hurt also, we start crying or we start showing a pain to others. Now, can you imagine when William was suffering through so many things in his life, he wanted to lift up his courage, he never wanted to give up. And that is the time when he wrote this poem, Invictus. So, it is a very interesting poem which we shall see. In the first stanza, we see that, out of the night that covers me, black has the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. Now, in this stanza, what is he trying to say? Instead of ending up in despair, instead of losing hope, Henley was able to be thankful that though his body was beaten, his soul wasn't. The night which seems to fill the whole world, is as dark as hell. Despite of his darkness, the speaker feels gratitude towards God. He does not pray for strength, but thanks for the strength that he already has. Now here the writer, the poet, is speaking to us in such a friendly manner. He says that whatever God has to give him, he has to give. So let's try and understand the first stanza. Out of the night that covers me. The poet says that he wants to thank God. He admits that his life has no ray of hope. That is, his life is black as the pit from pole to pole. It is as dark as from one place to another. It has been very dark. His future seems to be as dark as a pit. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. But then he is also grateful to God for his unconquerable soul. He says that no pain can be able to curb his soul. There is no pain which can remove his soul or take away his soul. He is thankful for whatever strength he has. Looking for the second stanza. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bulging yawns of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Your fell clutch means a deadly grip, falling out of. I have not winced nor cried aloud. Winced is here to throw back or to show fear or pain. Under the bulgionings of chance, bulgionings are nothing but overcoming from these things. My head is bloody but unbowed. What is he trying to say here? Even in the midst of horrible circumstances, Henley refused to let life defeat him, but instead he rose up and fought back. He believes that simply fate happened to him, a luck happened to him, and he was still in control of his own destiny. He says maybe by luck he must be suffering from this disease, but his luck is there, his destiny is with him. So what exactly the speaker talks? The speaker remembers of never showing discomfort or complaining about life. He compares life's unexpected mishaps to being beaten with a heavy implement. The speaker was damaged by his beating, yet this fact did not decrease the speaker's pride. He has overcome these bravely without complaint or giving up. That is what the message the second stanza gives. Let's take a quick recap what the second stanza talks. He claims that whenever he fell into some difficulty, he always remained unbeatable. However, situations have tried to destroy him, but he always fights back with courage. In fact, he agrees that sometimes difficulties have made him bleed and suffer. That is in the line, my head is bloody but unbowed. But he never let himself to bow before them, before his difficulties, and cry out of fear. When we are in trouble, students, what do? We either fear, we either start crying, or we either start taking a lot of tension, or we either give up at the end. But here the speaker, William, is telling us that he did not want to show his fear to the person who is troubling or to the thing which is destroying him. He always showed no fear and wanted to give up those things with a brave heart and being very courageous. Moving to the third stanza. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. Horror of the shade is nothing but death, and menace of the years are the sources of danger. Menace are the threat which is given to us in life. Student, what do you think? You think every time our parents are with us here and there? No. Still we take care of ourselves? Threat is everywhere. But it is we who don't give up and take care of ourselves and show courage to whatever comes our way, isn't it? Let's look in the third stanza. The speaker refers to afterlife that is filled with horror. Horror is nothing but very much danger or scary. He knows that what he has endured in his life, which is nothing compared to what lies ahead in the shade, which he refers to death. Even though he may not know what is to come, he is unafraid and ready for life, the face of death and what comes after it. So the third stanza, beyond this place of wrath and tears, he says he is beyond this horror. He always seemed to find something good out of it. Looms but the horror of shade. He always finds himself unafraid. Whenever threat or trouble has come in his life, he faced it bravely. Yet the menace of the years, that is the threat or the danger in his life, is coming all the years throughout his life. He is unafraid still, and he faces them bravely. Moving to the fourth stanza. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now here he says, it matters not how straight the gate. Straight is narrow, or in other words you can say restricted or limited or a very little space, or means you can say if I give you a narrow space and ask you to cross by, it is very difficult. You will take a lot of difficulty, you will take a lot of efforts and cross that path, isn't it? Same way he says, even the matters, it does not matter how difficulty he has to face in his life, it doesn't affect him. Let's see what the speaker talks. The speaker motivates the readers to understand the fact that nobody can control our lives. It only depends on us how we choose to live our lives. Henley even ends his poem with a note that one should become the friend, philosopher that is learned by yourself and guide of one's own soul. Though his future has been habitual with the disease, he will continue on and control his own fate and his soul. So let's see what the fourth stanza talks. So in the final stanza, Henley says that though the gate of life is narrow, he will definitely pass it, and very actively he'll pass it. He even states that he is the master of his own fate, that is his own fortune, his own life or his own luck. He also claims that he is the captain of his soul. How the captain takes care of the ship. He gives the order, he commands the order, and the ship has to move accordingly. Same way he says he is the captain, he is the believer or the follower of his own soul, and he himself is the master of his soul. So students, in the end, the poem motivates the readers to understand the fact that nobody can control our lives. It only depends on us how we choose to live our lives. Isn't it, students? There is no one who can control your life completely. It is on you who want to take your chance, or you have to take your own call. That is, if you want to become good or something, do good in your life, you will take your charge or you will take your chance. So there's nobody who can stop you from doing. It is nobody who can stop you from achieving your goals. It is no one who can tell you do not dream high. It's all on you, because you are the captain and you are the master of your soul. Here are certain meanings which, even when you read out the poem, it will help you out to understand the phrases and these meanings. You need to read out the poem and refer to these meanings. I hope you have understood the poem well. Here are a few figures of speech which you may refer, and there are still more which you can add up. Out of the night that covers me. Your night is indirectly compared to pain and suffering. That's why it is called as a metaphor. Even it is having also, night is given a human quality of covering the speaker. Out of the night that covers me. So it also gives a quality, that's a inanimate object is given a human quality. So it's a personification. Black has a pitch from pole to pole. Here the word has is already showing a comparison from pit to the pole. You also can find alliteration. Alliteration you can find in any sentences which you may follow. In the fell clutch of circumstance, again there's an alliteration for the alphabet C. Under burgeonings of chance, it's personification because chance is personified of being hit. Furthermore, we have beyond this place of wrath and tears. Here the figure of speech used is metaphor. That's a comparison made. Looms but the horror of the shade. Here the figure of speech metaphor is used because shade is indirectly compared. Here shade refers to unseen future. Shade is not seen. Horror of the shade. That is, the darker side is not seen. And yet the menace of the years. That is a metaphor because indirect comparison is made with years. And lastly is personification because years are given in a human quality of threatening someone. That is why it is personified. So certain more figure of speech you can add up to these referring to the poem. Moving to the rhyme scheme, here is the first stanza of the poem, which I need you to have a look at the rhyme scheme. Now rhyme scheme you already know how it is to be done. You'll have to look at the end of the sentence. In the first sentence, and I have to give a alphabetical name. The first sentence we have got the rhyme voice as me, so we gave it an A. The second rhyme we have got is as a pole, so we give it a rhyme as B. Again we got a me and B. The same rhyme voice we get, so we again use the alphabet A. And lastly for pole we get a sound of soul, so again the alphabet B repeats. Now here the first stanza is done for you. The remaining two stanzas you will have to see it. Let's look at the main theme of the poem, that is what we have learned in the topic, that is the appreciation of the poem Invictus. The poem Invictus is written by William Ernest Henley. He wrote the poem when he was in extreme pain. The central idea of the poem is that the poet thanks God for his unconquerable soul. The poet wants to give a universal message that no matter what difficult times come in one's life, you should never give up and face the situation tactfully. Our actions are a result of our own feelings, and hence we must take the responsibility of everything that happens in our lives. The poem is made up of 4 stanzas with 4 lines in each stanza. The rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. The poet has used figures of speech such as alliteration, repetition, and metaphor, but he has perfectly used personification in the line out of the night that covers me. The night is given human quality of covering the speaker. Lastly, let us look at the main theme the poem wants to tell us, or what do we learn from this poem. Firstly, we learn the point, the will to survive in the face of a severe trouble. That is, which line refers to this severe trouble? My head is bloody but unbowed. This line shows that how the poet is probably injured or severely damaged. That is, it's very bloody, in pain. But unbowed meaning that is, he's still not going to give up. He's still not giving, he's in pain. A lot of pain and suffering he has, but he has not given up. Second important theme what we learn is the belief and confidence in oneself that he or she can go through any challenges in life. That is, in the line which speaks is, I am the master of my fate and I am the captain of my soul. These 2 lines clearly shows how the poet confidently tackles. He accepts no master but himself. He boasts to no authority. He is his own God, guide, and judge. He is the captain. Now, these are the 2 themes or the 2 main points which we learn from the poem, which you need to understand and follow in your lives too. Lastly, time for some assessment. Read the poem and find sentences or phrases from the poem. Like, you have to find out sentences or phrases which talk about death, and the sentence which talk about pain or courage. Secondly, we are going to talk about is rhyme scheme of the second and third stanza. As you have done the rhyme scheme, you may continue with the other 2 stanzas. Next we have is find similar lines for the following phrases in the poem. Now, I am hurt but I resist. You'll have to pick up a similar sentence from the poem referring the entire poem. No matter what is the mistake, you have to give a try. I do not fear old age. Now, which sentence talks about fear? Just read out the content and give a suitable answer to it. Lastly, here we have got some multiple choice questions. You have to read the poem and understand what is related to that. The reason I gave you the meanings for that reason is that you can fill up these answers by yourself. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson and understood by getting a good moral value. Thank you.